I've got a bit of a mess here. Um, I've got so much junk. Luckily, a lot of stuff is already put in tubs. The problem is I'll get everything stacked up in the tubs, and then ironically, every time I do, the one thing I need is in the bottom. So I have to unstack everything and pull out the one piece I need, and then sometimes the tubs never get put back. Or I end up with something heavy on top and it's hard to get the tubs out. It just becomes a real nightmare. So I'm going to build a system to hold all these containers. Now, I know you've probably seen these all over TikTok, all over Facebook Reels, all over YouTube Shorts. I'm going to do one just a little bit different because I've got different size tubs. I've got quite a few of the yellow top ones, but even then, some of those are a little bit different. Some are from Home Depot, some are from Lowe's. I believe some are from Target. So they're all going to be just a little bit different. And then I've got a bunch of these older style tubs that I've had for many years, but I don't want to throw them away. Unlike the people that make those videos, they go out and buy brand new tubs to help organize everything. I've got a lot of the stuff already in tubs, so I just need to have a way to be able to stack them. Kind of the things I'm looking for is to be able to make use of the height. Right now, anything above about 6 feet is just kind of wasted space. I'm not going to end up putting tubs really high as they are today, just stacking them because it's too hard to get them down. So on this system, I'll make sure I'm able to, put them up there pretty high, and I'll probably even make a shelf on top that I can put stuff, that's not in tubs. And again, the biggest thing is I want to be able to utilize different size tubs and not have to go swap all these out and purchase new tubs. So anyway, come along, watch it and see how you like the outcome. Maybe you'll want to build one for yourself. I'll start by taking some 2x4 by 8-foot material and making a rectangle frame. I'm using my corner clamps to make sure that I stay square. I'll put one nail in it and add another after I remove the clamps. Now I'll add the second rectangle frame, just setting the wood on top of the frame so I can make sure they match. I need to measure the storage bin so I know how far the bottom bin needs to be from the bottom of the holder. And measure the width of the bin so I know how far to place the up and down boards. I guess they'll be called columns. You'll notice I'm cutting scrap pieces of wood to use as spacers. This way I can make sure each board is the same distance apart. I'll do this throughout this build. I'm using screws at first, but I'll come back and use the framing nailer once I validate the sizes are correct. If you'd like to know the sizes of each spacer, just leave it in the comments. If I get enough requests, I'll do another video showing the length of each of the scrap pieces that I'm using for spacers. I'll cut some 2x4s to 2 foot long. These will be the front to back boards that the bins rest on. Doing a test fit with a tub, and it fits really nicely. The spacer between the first bin and the rest of them will be a little bit different. We have to account for the part of the storage bin that is above the wood on the bottom one. I made my spacer at 15.5, but that wasn't quite right. This shows it actually fitting, but I did have to change the spacer to 12.5 to make it work right. Once I have all the spacers made, it's just clamp the spacers in place and nail the runner in place. And make sure you check the level on the runners. Make sure to check the level between the runners also. You may need to lift a runner a bit before you nail it just to make sure it's level with the other runner. Now let's check the fit of a few storage bins to make sure they fit on top of each other and that they go in and out really easily. And that fits perfectly. Now I'll set the frame down so I can add more columns. Using the spacers makes adding more columns really, really easy. To add them to the upper part, I clamp a board under the column to hold it in place. And again, use the spacers to make sure the distance is correct. With all the new columns added, let's just stand it back up and I'm going to spin it around. And now it's just lather, rinse, and repeat, adding the remaining runners. You've probably noticed that the rack still wants to move left and right a bit sometimes. I'm going to add a brace to keep that from happening. I want the brace to fit between the girts of my metal building. So I marked where the girts would line up with the rack. I'll just clamp the piece in place and mark the cut line with a marker. Then I'll make those cuts on the miter saw and I'll nail it to the rack so it stays in place. Much more sturdy now. All right. Well, we got this so far along the other day. It kind of ran out of time in the evening, so we had to go ahead and I got my son to help me stand it up, and then we just put all the tubs back in here. I didn't get completely finished with what I wanted to do. I need one more row to hold containers, and I'm going to make it a little bit narrower to hold these smaller containers. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. Of course, the cats are up there somewhere. When they get in here, once I get the garage door open, this is like their play place. But I'm going to start working on that today. But first, unfortunately, I'm going to move these containers a lot more times than I was wanting to. I need to get all these containers out of the way. Anyway, I'm going to work on that. So follow along. Well, that was quick. Actually, it wasn't. That was a lot of work. It really wore me out. I'm just getting started for the day here, and I'm already starting to feel some aches and pains. And, that's something I really struggle with. The older I get, trying to do these types of projects like I'm a younger man again. And that's why I was excited. Mujo reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, asked me if I'd be interested in trying out a couple of their joint and muscle cream products. They had seen some of my videos. I think specifically they mentioned the barbecue shack and the greenhouse video. And, just obviously looking at those videos, they knew there was a lot of work going into those builds. So I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to try something and see if I could get a little bit of pain relief. The biggest thing is I really struggle with lower back pain, and lifting these tubs, some of these are incredibly heavy. I've got Jeep parts and just random things in there that have a lot of weight. So, I'm not quite expecting them to be heavy, and I reach over and grab it and then I can just feel it twinge in my back. And that's where these products are really going to come in handy. The first product I'm going to talk about here is their Muscle and Joint Pain Relief Roll-On Gel. And this is just for that extra oomph, is what they call it. And this is for those nagging everyday pains we get. For me, my everyday pain is mostly my back. So I just take it and roll it on. And it doesn't take but a second till you're starting to feel that cooling sensation. It's down in there penetrating in, and it doesn't take long at all till it's starting to relieve some of that pain. And that's really what I'm looking for, is to give me the ability to just kind of fight through the pain and keep going, because otherwise I'm going to be sitting inside for the rest of the day and probably tomorrow recouping if I don't take care of this. And the other product is their muscle and joint relief cream. They call it the chronic tonic. And this is really for those really painful areas. This cream is going to be perfect for my hands, because that is really where I struggle. I spent my life working in IT. I sat on a keyboard all day, and it doesn't take long doing anything until my joints and my fingers are just aching. And especially, you know, having to grip those tubs around the side, it really, really was causing me a lot of pain. So I'm going to use this cream and let it soak in, and it will really, really come out and take care of that pain for me really quickly. They just sent me this product free and asked me to try it out and see what I thought about it. They did send me a code. If any of my viewers would like to go ahead and look in the description, there's a link and a code there. You can get a % off of a purchase. You know, this is the kind of thing that I fight daily, and it's already feeling so much better. It doesn't take it long to really start penetrating into the muscle and the joints and start relieving that pain. So go check it out. If you're getting older like me, I'm sure you're hitting the same issues. Go check it out and see what you think about it. All right, I made a test fit here just to see how these would work. Just, you know, added another 2x4 here, and another 2x4 here was a little bit too wide, so I just had to add a small 3/4 piece of plywood to make it fit. But that's about the perfect distance apart. If we look at this, the distance between them is right at 14 3/4. So that tells me what, you know, I'm starting to calculate how far apart I need to put the next up and down board. So I found these little strips here, and, you know, the spirit of trying to reuse product instead of go buy more, which, you see, I've got tons of wood. This came off a piece of furniture that we were going to throw away. It wasn't worth trying to sell. We were just going to chunk it, but I decided to tear it apart and keep the wood off of it. So these boards will be perfect. They're not crazy thick, but as you can see, there's not a lot of thickness needed for these. They're right up against, you know, definitely don't need a 2x4 because it's going to overhang less than half of that 2x4 there, and it's just a waste. And these are not going to carry near the amount of weight that I put in those bigger tubs. So if I measure this, it's right at, was it 9/16? So I've got 14 3/4, and I'm going to take away 9/16 and 9/16 because I'm going to split these in half and run one on each side to support the smaller tubs. I'm going to rip these in half on the table saw. Just measure the board and set the fence to half the width. Once they are all cut, I made another set of spacers for the smaller storage bins. Now it's just a repeat of this previous step. Clamp the spacer and screw in the runners. Once I've done a test fit, I'll nail them all into place. With all the bin holders created, I'm going to nail some scrap wood to the top and create a shelf to store additional boxes and bins. And now we'll just bring all the storage bins back and get them placed on the rack. All right, we finally got it put back together here. Brought all the tubs in. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a step in the right direction from getting the garage cleaned up a bit. These fit perfect. I've got a couple of tubs that are just a hair wider than the rest of them. Trying to decide if I want to modify something or just leave it. They do actually fit. They just don't slide in as easy as some of the rest of them. So I may just, you know, decide what to put in those tubs, something that I hardly ever get to. And that's kind of the way I was organizing this. Typically, light stuff's going to be on top, unless it's something I don't use very much. Even if it's kind of heavy, but it never gets used, I'm going to put it up high. Trying to make the stuff I use pretty consistently down, at least, you know, accessible down here. I need to come up with a better naming system. The tape on some of these is coming off, although ironically it wants to come off in some spots, but then when you pull it off in others, the sticky just stays behind. So I'm going to have to get some Goo Gone and get that cleaned up. I've got tape as one type of labeling system. I've got these little labels here that you write on and stick in there, and I've got things that were printed in a label maker. I need to pull all these off and get a consistent system. It's probably going to be my label maker and do it right so I can easily, quickly tell what's in each tub so I can get to it. You know, I've got at least one more row of these containers Obviously, this didn't give me enough room to add the another row there. I considered going 10 foot, and then I would have had, you know, probably two more rows here of those, but of the smaller tubs. But what worried me is I wouldn't be able to get over in that corner anymore. So I think I'm going to make another cart that's about 2 of these wide, just to hold 2 rows of those guys. Put it on casters, and I can roll it into there, and you know, put tubs in there. But if I need to get to that back corner, if I need to get some wood that's in there, you know, I can roll it out and be able to access that wood. So that's kind of the idea. Next thing I want to do is use this little space here, and I've got a ton of tool holders, like my Dremel, you know, my plastic Dremel holder, a bunch of DeWalt screw holders, my air tools, different things that come in their dedicated plastic cases, and I usually keep them in there to help protect them. So I'm going to help frame this out into holders for that. And then on this side wall over here, I'm going to put plywood, some type of plywood, so I can go ahead and make the French cleat just come around the corner. It'll give me a little bit more space there on the French cleat wall that I can hang a few things on. So that's going to be in the next video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video with what I've got right now. I would love to hear your comments. You know, again, this isn't perfect. And I know some of the questions people are going to say, wait, there's 8 million plans you could have bought on the internet, and there's probably some free ones. Why didn't you just get a plan, and it could have saved you some of the heartache of having to retrofit things? Well, for one thing, I'm using different size tubs. You know, I've got multiple sizes of tubs. And like I say, even once I finished and went in the house and found a couple of tubs, they were bigger than what I was expecting. But, you know, I like to learn. I don't like to just download plans and use those plans to build something. I prefer to learn as I go. So this was definitely a learning experience. It's not perfect, but it's pretty much perfect for what I need. So anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Y'all have a great day.